The room is dark. A single lamp burns low. An old man sits in his chair by the window, the kind of chair that holds the shape of a life lived in it. Outside, the world is asleep. Inside, only the clock speaks. The clock never stops. You'd think after 85 years you'd get used to that sound, the ticking, but it's louder now than it ever was. Funny how that works. When you were young and time was everywhere, spilling out of your pockets, falling off the edges of days you didn't even bother to name, you never heard it at all. Now it fills the whole room. I sit here most nights. Sleep doesn't come the way it used to. It used to arrive like a mercy. Now it makes me wait. So I sit and I remember. And I think about all the things I believed when I was standing rather than sitting. I believed I had enemies, real ones. I thought failure was hunting me, that if I didn't succeed, didn't build enough, earn enough, become enough, something terrible would find me. His hands rest on his knees like two tired birds. I was wrong. My enemy was never failure. Failure I could have survived. Failure I could have learned from. No, my real enemies were quieter than that, more patient. They lived inside the house, not outside it. Fear, the kind that dressed itself up as wisdom and convinced me to stay still when I should have moved. Anger, the kind that felt like justice but left nothing behind except people who stopped calling. Lust, not just of the body, but of more, always more time, more control, more of whatever I didn't yet have. He looks toward the window. Time never warned me it was leaving. It just left. So let me go back, not to fix it. You don't get to fix it, that's the deal. That's always been the deal. But to see it clearly, without the armor I wore then, without the lies I told myself then. Let me go back and look at it with these old eyes that have finally stopped being afraid of what they might find. Let me show you where the fear began. Fear never introduced itself. That's the thing I wish someone had told me. I was waiting for it to arrive the way danger arrives, loud, obvious, wearing its true face. I was ready for that kind of fear. I would have fought that kind. But the fear that stole my life, it came quietly. It came dressed in reason. It said, "You're not ready yet." And I believed it. I was 26, applying for a position that could have changed everything, a role I was built for, thought about for years. I sat with the application for 3 days. I read it over and over. And then, slowly, the whispers started. What if you get it and fail publicly? What if they see through you? I closed the folder. I told myself, next year, when I'm more prepared, when the timing is better. Next year will be 7 years, and someone else built the life I had outlined in my head. There was a woman. There's always a woman, isn't there? Or a man, or a person. Someone whose presence rearranged the air in a room. I knew what I felt. I knew it the way you know something in your chest before your mind has words for it. But I never said it, because fear asked me, what if she doesn't feel the same? What if you ruin what you already have? So I protected myself, and I lost her anyway. To time, to distance, to another man who wasn't afraid to speak. And I spent years after that wondering which outcome would have hurt less, rejection or silence. Silence is worse. Silence you carry forever. I had a business idea at 34, a real one. I had sketched it out, priced it, believed in it at 3 in the morning in the way you only believe in true things. But fear sat across the table and listed every way it could collapse. And I listened. I stayed in the safe job, the job that required nothing extraordinary from me. And I stayed and stayed and stayed. 30 years. 30 years of competence. 30 years of fine.
30 years of a man shrinking himself to fit inside a life built for someone with smaller dreams. And there was someone I hurt, someone who deserved an apology that I never delivered, because apologizing meant admitting I was wrong, and admitting I was wrong felt like a collapse. They died waiting. I have to live with that. Fear doesn't scream. It whispers. It whispers in the language of caution, of practicality, of just wait a little longer. And it is so patient, so devastatingly patient. It will wait with you through your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, nodding along while you postpone, delay, and defer the life that was trying to reach you. And by the time you recognize it for what it was, half your life is gone. Not taken. Given away. Quietly. Willingly. One whisper at a time.
Fear was cold. Anger was different. Anger was warm. Anger felt like standing in a fire and believing you were the one in control. That's the lie anger tells, that you are powerful, that you are right, that the feeling in your chest is justice, not poison. I believed that lie for most of my life. My brother and I stopped speaking when I was 41 years old. I couldn't tell you now. I genuinely could not reconstruct the original wound with any precision. What started it? Something about money, something about our mother's house after she passed, something that felt at the time like a fundamental betrayal of everything between us. We didn't speak for 22 years. 22 years. Please sit with that number. That is not a disagreement. That is a decision renewed every single morning for 22 years to let pride stand where a brother used to be. We reconciled, eventually, 4 years before he died. 4 years out of a lifetime. I tell myself 4 years was something. Some nights I believe it. And my children. I was not a violent man, I want to be clear, but I had a voice that could go cold in a way that was its own kind of violence. I had a way of leaving a room, not physically, but emotionally, that my children learned to read before they could read words. My eldest son. There was an evening, he was maybe 9. He'd broken something, I don't even remember what, and I turned to him with everything I was carrying that day, all the weight of it, and I put it in my voice and I aimed it at him. He didn't cry. He just became very still. And something in him stayed still. That stillness is in him today. I can see it when we're in the same room, a careful distance he keeps, even when he's smiling. Something I built in one careless minute that took decades to partially undo and never fully disappeared. I lost decades over moments. Moments that felt enormous at the time, critical, righteous, necessary, and which I cannot now reconstruct with any detail, because they were not enormous. They were small, temporary, the kind of pain that passes in a week if you let it. I did not let it. There was a funeral. A man I'd carried a grudge against for 11 years. We'd worked together once. He had wronged me, genuinely, I'm not imagining it, and I had made a quiet daily practice of not forgiving him. He died before I decided to put it down. I sat in the back of that church, and I understood something for the first time with my whole body and not just my mind. Time was waiting for me to forgive. I thought I had time. Time was not waiting for me. Forgiveness was never for him. It was never about him. It was always just a door I refused to walk through while the years piled up quietly on the other side. The door is still there. He is not. Lust is the most honest of the three. Fear pretended to be wisdom. Anger pretended to be justice.
But lust never really pretended to be anything. It just arrived, bright, urgent, completely convincing, and said, "This, now, nothing else matters." And I believed it, repeatedly, across decades. I don't mean only physical desire, though that too. I mean the full catalog of wanting, the hunger for admiration in a room, the need to be the most impressive person at the table, the chase for money, not because I needed it, but because accumulating it felt like proof of something I could never quite name what. I was always chasing. That's the truest thing I can say about the middle years of my life. I was always in motion towards something that kept moving. There was a woman. I won't dress it up. I was married. I was not unhappy. That's the part I couldn't explain then and still struggle to explain now. I wasn't running from something terrible. I had warmth at home. I had loyalty at home. I had someone who had chosen me specifically out of all available options and built a life with me brick by brick. And I told myself, and the mind is extraordinary at this, I told myself it didn't mean anything, that it was separate, that I could keep two things in two different rooms and the walls would hold. The walls do not hold. They never hold. My wife found out. We survived it, technically. Structurally, we remained married, but something recalibrated between us that never quite returned to its original setting. A degree of warmth, a certain ease, gone. Not dramatically, just quietly, permanently subtracted. For what? For a feeling that lasted months, for a dopamine high my brain manufactured and called desire when I mistook it for meaning. I thought I was chasing happiness. I was running from emptiness. That's the biological truth nobody tells you when you're young, and the wanting feels like aliveness. The craving is never about the thing you're craving. It's about the 30 seconds after you get it, that brief chemical stillness before the wanting starts again. It always starts again. I chased admiration for 30 years and can tell you with complete certainty, no amount of it fills the space it's supposed to fill. You get the validation, the applause, the recognition, and somewhere underneath the pleasure of it, quiet and insistent, the emptiness taps its finger. More, different, again. Desire is not satisfied. It is only fed, and feeding it makes it larger. Lust always promised tomorrow would be fine, that what I was doing was temporary, that I would get it out of my system, that the real life, the meaningful one, the present one, the one with actual people who actually loved me, would still be there when I was done chasing. Tomorrow came. It was not fine. Some of what I chased I caught. Most of it meant nothing within a year. And what I traded for it, trust, presence, time, those I have never recovered. You cannot spend 40 years feeding a hunger and then retire from it peacefully. It leaves marks. I am the marks. I blamed time for most of my life. I spoke about it as if it were something done to me. It moved too fast, deliberately, like it took things, people, chances, years, with some intention behind the taking. But sitting here tonight, in this chair, with all of it finally spread out in front of me where I can see it clearly, time was neutral. That's the whole truth. That's the thing underneath everything. Time didn't rush me or trick me or steal from me. Time simply moved, steadily, honestly, without malice. And I am the one who chose, 10,000 times over, what to do inside it. Fear delayed me. Anger separated me. Lust distracted me. Time just kept the count. I thought I was fighting the world. I was fighting myself. Every battle that mattered, every real, consequential, life-shaping battle was interior, was mine alone. The world was mostly just standing there, available, waiting to be engaged with, and I was too afraid, too angry, too hungry to engage with it honestly. I wish I had called more. I wish I had forgiven faster, not for them, but because carrying a grudge is just choosing to be wounded on purpose every single day. I wish I had loved louder, said it, shown it, made it unmistakable. The people I loved most, some of them died not knowing the full size of it because I was too reserved, too proud, too convinced that they already knew. Some things need to be said out loud. I wish I had risked sooner, sat with my children longer, put the work down and just been in the room, not physically present, but actually there, actually available, actually looking at them. I wish I had said, "I'm scared," instead of performing strength for people who didn't need my performance. They needed my honesty. They needed to know that I was human and uncertain and finding my way, so that they could feel permission to be the same. I wish I had said, "I'm sorry," before pride had time to harden it into silence. Life is not measured in years. I know that now. A long life is not automatically a full one. You can live 85 years and spend most of them avoiding the 3 or 4 moments that actually require courage. It is measured in the seconds you chose presence over fear, forgiveness over pride, honesty over performance, love over safety. Those seconds are the whole of it. Everything else is just time passing. And time, God forgive me for taking so long to understand this, time was never the problem.